Welcome to Self-Made Millionaire Tips. I'm Colin Plume, CEO of Noble Gold Investments, My Digital Money, and a few other things that I can't even talk about off the record here, other businesses. No, got Tanya Stone with me. Very excited. We're going to talk about interior design, her career, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, exciting. Tanya Stone Interiors, you're based out of LA, but you've done properties in kind of all over California. Have you done anything outside of California?
I've done one project. It was virtually in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
During COVID?
Yes, during COVID.
And what did you do? You just told them to move the stuff around, or how
No, the house is it was an award-winning house by Raleigh Architecture, so I had a lot of photos of the house already.
Okay.
And it was mostly furniture, not actual construction. But yeah, we just did everything virtually with measurements and
That's cool.
yeah, and it came out really good.
Wow. I know you were in Architectural Digest, Casa Vogue Brazil, and you're pretty new in your career of this and sort of fell into it, I think, right? I mean, you decided to say you fell into this.
Yes, because I don't have a background in it. I'm self-taught. I kind of fell into it after having kids and designing my daughter's nursery.
Oh, is that how it started?
That's how sparked.
And you got in there and you were like, oh my God, this was...
So I started designing her nursery when she was 4 months old because we were living in a tiny apartment at the time. And by the time we moved, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to create this space for her. And when I was done with it, it got so much... It's funny because I wouldn't do what I did back then right now. But at the time, for a nursery for a girl, it was very like neutral. I did gray and white stripes, and it was very different because there was no pink, you know. And I got a lot of attention, and I think it got featured on a decor blog. I had just posted it, and they reposted it, and I was like, I love doing this. And that's kind of how it all started.
Why? I mean, everybody thinks pink when you're doing like your daughter. Like, what made you go away from that traditional choice of color?
I'm not anti-pink now but I was so anti-pink back then. I was like, I just didn't want to do what everyone else was doing.
Right.
I think that's why I was anti-pink. And then of course my daughter was born and her favorite color
Is pink.
So then I had to be like, do stuff with pink, and it really grew on me. It's one of my favorite colors now.
So before she could tell you,
yes,
was...
she literally, like, one of her first words was pink. I'm like, okay,
Wow.
this is, hello, motherhood.
Yeah.
This is what it's about.
Wow.
So there were no inclination, even when you were a kid, towards designing?
I've always been very artistic. I can draw. My brother is like a true artist. When I look back, there was a lot of things that I did that were creative. I have a actually really cool story. Before, like maybe 5 years before I started interior design, I was going to yoga, and she was also a Reiki master, and I was having a lot of anxiety, and she kind of did Reiki on me. And at the time, I was a casting director, and it was a lot of anxiety to go back to work because I just knew it wasn't the right place. There was like harassment going on. It was not the right fit. And she told me, she's like, oh, I see interior design in your future. And I completely ignored her. Didn't think twice. I was like, I'm not going back to school. I'm already 25. By the time I'm done, I'll be 27, 28. By the time I start my career, I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. Didn't think anything of it. And then I want to say 3 years after I started the business, that conversation like popped in my head.
Oh, really?
Yep. And I went and actually saw her 6 months ago because I found her again.
Yeah.
And that's a whole another story on another time. But
Wait, what does she say? What's going to happen now?
She said that she did say, I don't know if it's true, but she said my business is going to grow like 100 times more and just keep going with other insightful comments. But
Wow.
yeah, and I didn't remember the conversation till like years after.
That is.
And
What's her name?
I will give you her information.
Yeah. Was it Reiki? She's a psychic? Or?
No, I think
No.
Reiki is like energy healing. I don't even know what it was. I was just like, I had so much anxiety back then. I was like open to anything. I still don't really know what it is, but she was a yoga, she's a very intuitive person.
Right.
And like, how do you get that? I mean, she had to be onto something. How do
Yeah.
you get that from not knowing much about me?
Right.
Other than I was having anxiety to go back to the job I was at the time.
Maybe it was the way you said namaste. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know.
I don't know.
She read you.
She did.
She read you.
She said, I don't remember exactly, but she said something like, you're just really good with spaces. And she said something like that. I was like, oh, okay.
Crazy person.
I'm like, okay.
And she was right.
She was right.
Wow. So she predicted it. Years later, I know you obviously have kids and you were trying to figure out, and part of this is trying to figure out a career that you could have a family too.
Exactly.
Right?
I didn't want to hire someone else to raise my kids and pay for that. Like it made no sense. I wanted to be there and I wanted to think of something to do. And I knew if I went and worked for someone else, I would give it my all. So I was like, why can't I do that for myself? What can I do? And that's how it kind of started. And my brother and sister-in-law actually encouraged me to start my own business. They didn't know what, but they're like, do it,
Yeah.
So that's
helped. Nice. I mean, it's nice to have family that encourage, because I think a lot of times business owners, people, depending on where they're at in their life, they don't always want to encourage you to kind of take that leap of faith.
Oh, I had other family members who basically rolled their eyes at me when I first started and kind of doubted me. I'm sure a lot of people did. I think I doubted myself too. But I had a dad who is an immigrant, came here not knowing the language, had his own business and is still working and still has his own business. So I came from that, I guess, watching that. So I think it kind of gave me a little
yeah,
incentive.
if you see it, you saw somebody come here and do something with their life.
Exactly.
And take a chance, right? I mean, being an entrepreneur is, it's, there's a lot of ups and downs.
I know. And I didn't know that when I got into this world.
You thought it would just be all putting space. No, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, I did. I literally thought it was only creative, but no, you're still running a business.
Yeah,
so
it's a big part of it.
It's a big learning curve.
And we're going to talk about that too. But let's start about, so I know for a while you realized like, hey, no one's going to hire me because I don't have anything.
Yep.
So what did you decide to do to get out there?
I started talking to friends and family and whoever needed any sort of help. I just offered my services for free. I did a lot of nurseries for free, a lot of spaces for free.
Pink? Did you use pink?
Nope.
No pink. Okay, that was
Pink
one
didn't
of the
come
that was
till-
one of the requirements. You're not doing pink.
Pink didn't come till my daughter was about 3, and I've done a lot of pink spaces since then. She's 9, so but not in the beginning.
I hope we don't get banned by like the Barbie.
I know.
Because pink is
Anti-Barbie.
hot.
No, I know.
Pink is hot right now.
No, and
so I hope we don't go into a whole thing now where this
You have
whole
just
show.
been
I did a whole.
Yeah, we got canceled by the Barbie crew
Yeah.
for not using
No,
pink.
I love Barbie. I love pink now. But like I said, for nurseries, I was anti-pink because everyone was doing it, and I wanted to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter likes some pink.
Yes.
Yeah,
and pink is it's become like, there's certain pink colors that are terrible, but there's so many beautiful shades of it. So there's so many different ways to play with it,
Yeah, it's really fun. So you started doing nurseries for free, and I think you told me you did a room in a house kind of early, right? You did like some rooms.
Yes.
You branched out from the nurseries.
Yep, I started with nurseries, and then out of nowhere, somebody referred me to this person who needed. It was like a tiny house. It was made from like cinder block, and the interior was cinder. I didn't even know what cinder block was at the time. Talk about like teaching yourself everything.
Yeah.
And it was a small living room, dining room area, and I had to go in and like. I didn't pretend like I knew everything, but that this is what I've been doing.
You've done this before. Yeah.
And it started from there. And
Act
then,
as if, right?
Yep. Just keep going till you make it,
Yeah.
And that's where I started. If I look back on it, I don't know if it was, I've improved a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's how you start.
Yes.
Anytime you were doing these houses for free, did any of them pay you or?
Some of them did, but minimal.
Yeah.
Kind of like my travel expenses type thing.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. I was okay with paying my dues. I didn't want to like take people's money when I still was trying to figure out the whole process.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if I made mistakes, I'm like, well, it was for free, so
There you
I don't know
go.
what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, you were learning on, it was like not not an internship, but you
Kind
were
of
kind of in a way.
hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think about the relationship between a designer? How's, obviously you're starting out, you're working with some friends. Do you, I mean, early you're probably taking every job.
I still sometimes have to take jobs that my design aesthetic doesn't line up with the clients because, we have to pay bills.
Right.
But it's kind of just really getting to know the person and still doing a good job with their expectations and being okay with like, well, not every job is going to get photographed and not every job is going to be exactly how I think it should be, and being open to just really understanding how a single person works, a family works, what works for them, what doesn't, and give my opinion, but also know that at the end of the day, it's their house.
Yeah.
So I have to be realistic.
How did you, excuse me, how did you transform from the free work?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get over the hump of, hey, now I got to start, I've done enough now.
That took me a long time, actually. Honestly, it was a slow transition, so I think it naturally just happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
I always still feel awkward when friends and family call for my services.
Right.
Like but I also know that, hey, I have a family to support myself. This isn't a hobby, it's
Right.
a career.
Right.
So, I feel like I've paid my dues in that department.
I mean, money with family and friends it's always a difficult conversation
Yes.
to have. And when I, one thing is when I would, I was selling products or whatever, and I knew it wasn't a good fit, I would always just overcharge.
Yeah. Yes, I've done that.
And then you're like, well, if I have to do it, it's going to be there. But then I also think like if they go, well, that's too much money, then you sort of like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you sort of set yourself up where you almost want them to say no, because there's some situations you probably don't want. There's certain clients you've turned away. Right?
Oh, 100%. Like I in the beginning wasn't turning away anybody, and then I've done this enough to know that sometimes it's not a good fit. It's like you can I feel like I can get along with everybody, but if somebody is, you can just tell from the walkthroughs now, and I kind of go higher because I'm like, well, if they're gonna say yes, then, and they're gonna be a pain in the butt, then I'm gonna get paid.
Yeah, you got to get paid for that.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. So you're in. When do you think, Tanya? When do you think you sort of realize like, wow, what was a turning point where you like got home that day and you were like, I can really do this job?
I still have doubts. I think that's what makes a good designer or a good business person, is because that makes me just keep trying and like not think. When I walk into a room, I don't want to think I'm the best person in the room, and I think that sets me apart from other designers. When I think I made it, is that?
Yeah. When do you think it turned?
I think it was the Architectural Digest article.
How did you hear about that you were going to be an Architectural
I
Digest?
submitted the project, and then they got back to me, so I knew it was coming. And it still was very surreal. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was just a really good moment. I had just had my third baby, and I was like, I can't believe, from being self-taught, working this many years, and taking projects, like harder projects, slowly and not jumping in. Like, I knew when something was above my skill level at the time. So I think that really helped me get to that point. And it was just, I think that was a really big moment.
This was a house in LA, or this what?
This was a house in Palm Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you did it for them to live in there, or they were going to sell it, or?
I co-designed the house with my clients, who I think they were going to use the house as a rental property, but they ended up selling it pretty shortly after it was complete.
And obviously, the fact that it was Architectural Digest
Yeah.
was pretty sweet.
I know. It's like I know how lucky I was to have that opportunity. I mean, that doesn't there's some amazing designers that have been around for such a long time that
They've
haven't
never
been
gotten-
featured.
yeah, absolutely.
So I think just everything lined up, and
And they
it was
kept
meant
all
to
the
be.
furniture?
I believe they sold the house with all the furniture.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if it's an
It's Palm
architectural,
Springs,
that'd
yeah.
be crazy to
Yeah.
not keep that.
I think,
you know?
yeah. But I think the house sold before the article came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But how did you get this client?
I messaged her on social media and asked if I can design her daughter's nursery. And I did that for free. And then she was in the middle of renovating her house and asked if I can help. And that's how it started.
So for someone starting out, this strategy of going for the nursery or room, you'd recommend this to other design if they're trying to. You got to put yourself out there and try.
I think so. I
yeah.
just like I've messaged people, any celebrity clients that I've gotten. I've just taken a shot. I'm like, are they going to see the message? Who knows? And some have seen it, and some have responded, and then some have responded and it hasn't lined up. And I used to get so upset, but now the older I'm getting and the more I'm doing this, sometimes like protecting yourself from certain situations.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah, I just put myself out there.
Who's your dream celebrity client? Like, who would be the top 2?
100% Tom Brady.
Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only person. You know, I grew up in LA and I was in California.
I was never gonna think you said that. I would never would have guessed that. That Fairlanes. That's
Bring
also.
me with you.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. I put it out there. You never know.
Yeah.
I never thought I would get other specific clients that I've had in the past. So, I grew up in LA. I've been in casting, so I've been around celebrities. So I'm not. I don't. Like, I don't have like this. Oh my God, celebrity.
Yeah.
Thing, but I grew up in a home. My parents are from Boston, so they grew up loving the Patriots, and Tom
Okay.
Brady is like God.
Right.
And I reached out to him for my father's 70th birthday. I somehow got connected to him, and asked him to send my dad a happy birthday video, and it was during COVID, and he did it. And
Wow.
he didn't ask for anything in return. The only thing he asked was for us not to post it on social media.
But we're going to.
Huh?
But we're going to on this video because no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Tom, don't worry, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he followed up during COVID to see how my dad was doing during like those
Wow.
chaotic times.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that. Like, he's Tom Brady. He's not on Cameo. He's not on.
Yeah.
He just did that out of the goodness of his heart.
Wow.
And I was like, I want to design his
Yeah.
house.
So would you do that one for free or?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll probably go broke doing it, but whatever. Bragging points.
Yeah. So he'd be like, "How do I get more supermodels into my house?
I
Like
think-
make it supermodel friendly."
I think he's really into architecture too, and he's worked with like a insane architect that I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of. And I don't know, that would be my dream client.
What's your what style right now is like that you just can't stand? That's super popular right now that everybody's kind of hyped on.
You know, it's not a specific style, but it's like something that's been around for so long. I don't like the chevron print. I like herringbone, which is very close, but for some reason when I see chevron floors or chevron anything, I just can't stand it.
I have no idea what that is. I have Chevron, like gas station. People are making their houses
It's
like
a
gas.
print. Google it.
Okay. I have no idea what that is. Okay.
I can appreciate so many different design aesthetics. I think it's just like knowing where to use that style, which home, which client. There's ways to. I don't like going one direction with any type of style.
Right.
And just really being intentional with choices, so it's not so specific. But there's not. I don't know. The ultra modern like white boxes, concrete white boxes, I can't stand.
Yeah. And those are what
There's
what,
no, like-
what a lot of the developers build.
A lot of the developers, a lot of straight men. That's the truth.
Make
Those decisions. Gray floors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm not the right gal for that.
So Tanya, your business sort of during COVID just exploded. Like
Yes.
that's sort of you went from like stuff's happening to like in huge demand.
Yes.
Combination like you probably perfect timing for you, and then everybody was home, like,
Yes.
and they hated. They looked around.
They're just sick of their space.
Yeah, they're sick of their space.
Yes.
How did you navigate going from like, you know, probably slower time to like explosion from a business point of view? Obviously, you're navigating, you know, furniture coming, this, billing, you know, how did it all happen for you?
I'm just naturally a super organized person, and I think knowing when to say no also has really helped me, because I didn't want to be in a situation where I fell flat on my face. I have fallen, but not completely, you know.
We all have.
Yeah, and even though it exploded, it still was like a slow progression, because there was so many delays in furniture. So it gave me like time to actually do my job, because people were they had no choice. Clients had to be more patient, because yeah, I can help expedite certain things, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not a magician, you know.
Right.
So I think that really helped. Just the world slowing down kind of helped, but I don't that kind of I don't know if that makes
Well,
sense.
I know,
but-
yeah, because we did a remodel during that time too,
Mm-hmm.
and so waiting, you know, you would say, well, when can I get that dining table? And
Yep.
it was going to be, you know, 5 months,
And then it turned into 8 months,
and then it was
and then
8 months,
it turned into a year.
and then it would show up broken.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
so
That was
I
on
mean,
a ship. It went down. You know.
yeah,
stuff
exactly.
Like
I
that.
mean, yeah, all those things. So you're navigating, you're dealing with client expectations, which was
Yes.
probably good, right?
The client expectations were a little more forgiving. I think that helped
During COVID.
during COVID, and
Yeah.
even now, things are still not the way they were before.
Right.
You know.
Right. Do you, you know, when you go into a project, so that discovery phase with you and the client, like how long do you, like if you're doing let's just say you're doing a whole house,
Mm-hmm.
how many times do you sit down with them before you start to kind of get out and get a feel for their,
Like a good 3-4 times before I even get hired. I think like doing walkthroughs, kind of going through the process of what they want me to be involved in, what they don't, because not everybody has an unlimited budget.
sure.
I That's one thing that
Do people lie about their budget? Or do they just
yes,
like,
sometimes they do, because they think I'm going to charge my fee based on how much they're spending.
right.
And a lot of designers do that, but I don't. I charge based on the scope of work.
Okay.
So it's always, I wish they would be more honest, because we would save a lot of time.
So some designers go, okay, it's going to cost $200,000 and I charge a 20% markup.
Right,
And so so people maybe would say, well, I only want to spend 100
right.
because they're going to get they don't want to get charged that
Right.
fee. Whereas the way you do it is you go, okay, it's going to take me a certain amount of hours and I'm
Yep.
going to charge
And
X.
I sometimes get that wrong, and usually I kind of lose in that situation, but I keep my word. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're guesstimating how many
Yeah.
hours it's going to take for you and how long the project's going to take.
of course, and like during COVID, there's so many delays. Like construction, there's always issues. Contractors bail sometimes, and then you have to do the work again.
Yeah.
And like I probably should charge double, but I don't, because I'm like, well, my clients didn't necessarily deserve that either.
Sure.
So, you know, that's where you can tell I genuinely love what I do, because it's not all about
the money.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you have 3 kids. You're balancing this business. I mean, how do you like balance the whole thing that's going on in your life? Like what kind of keeps you grounded?
They do. I think, you know, the kids do for sure. I don't know how I balance it. I think it's just waking up every day and
Just doing it.
moving forward, and knowing that, you know, their childhood is kind of dependent on me. So
Right.
there's no excuses.
Yeah, no, and you have to. And
Yeah.
and also, you know, I think like as they get older, like you talking to them about what you're doing. Yeah, when they're young, it's hard. They don't understand.
Yeah.
But like, hey, you know, I'm doing this for you.
Right.
Mommy has to go here because of you. And I have this conversation with my kids a lot too. It's like, I'm going here so that you can do this.
Of course.
You know, and that, you know.
And I think it's important for them to see like their parents be happy and work towards a goal and be consistent and struggle, and it's not all fun and games.
Right.
You know, and my 9-year-old now like shows so much interest with doing SketchUp with me when I'm doing renderings and drawings.
Oh, wow. That's
I mean,
cool.
She loses interest really quickly because it's a little complicated, but she'll be like, oh, put this here and do this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool. My Mina she's a little bit of a cost, so I thought Sharon might come today and bring her to work. So I thought she might be like running around the halls here, but she ended up. Luckily, she's at school.
Yes.
So we're always happy when they go to school.
I know.
that's another thing with 3. I mean, like,
I know.
kid gets sick, appointments.
I know. For the first time ever, I have a nanny. So that's like a whole, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, just recently happened. So
yeah. You're like, thank you.
yes,
Bye.
it's amazing to have reliable, consistent help. And, you know, it's like an investment in the business as well.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very nice. So you managing family, you're managing the business, you're billing, you're doing everything. And then obviously what's the next project? Who's next? How do you get new clients? You know, how do you keep the ball rolling?
So honestly, a lot of it for me, I'm not very good with social media. Eventually I probably will hire someone, but that's like another full-time job. So again, don't want to grow way too big before I can handle it. A lot of my new clients are word of mouth referrals. Somebody worked with me, suggests me, a friend of mine, and the celebrity clients all have been through social media. So it does work for something, but like everyday people, it's usually referrals.
Yeah. I feel like the celebrity clients are just to get your name out there. And they're, from everyone I've heard that works with celebrities, they're always typically the worst clients.
No
and
comments.
it's almost, but it's almost like you do that so you can get like a little pub, and then but the like regular people, business owners are the ones that kind of pay the bills.
For sure, and I've worked with some amazing human beings that are in the spotlight. So that's not true for everybody, but yes, essentially what you said.
What if you get a client that decides to do something that's super ugly?
It's happened.
Yeah, and you're like, you want a massage.
Mm-hmm. I like tiptoe around it, but eventually I'll say something, but in the most, I'll try to like word it so it's not insulting.
Yeah.
And then it's up to them. And then if it's a situation where I am going to photograph the house, we might just avoid that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that for our first house, we hired a person to help us, this woman, Lisa, to help us design. And like, you know, I had no input pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know Sharon, so you know how that goes. And but I in one of the rooms, this room I found at the store, we went to look for, I found this red leather chair. And I loved this chair, and I was sitting in it, and you could tell Sharon didn't like it, but then she's like, let's take a picture and send it to Lisa. Mm-hmm. So we take a picture, send Lisa. She calls in 1 second.
Yeah.
And she goes, where are you thinking about putting that chair? And I was like, you know, in the living room, you know, where, you know, this is my chair. This is the guy's chair, you know, like a leather chair. And she's like, and then, so I hang up and I go, so I tell Sharon, I'm like, I can tell that Lisa doesn't like this chair. And she's like, what are you going to tell her? I'm like, I'm not going to tell her because I've had no input on the shop. And it sounds like to me, I'm not going to get any input. Right. But I'm going to make her think.
Oh my God, that's fun.
I'm going to buy this chair. And so I was like, I texted her like, bought the chair. And then in the morning, I texted her like, I was kidding. I didn't buy the chair. And she goes, I didn't sleep the whole night. Yeah. Because you were going to buy that fucking ugly chair, that red chair.
That's happened to me too. I have like dreams of like me navigating that situation.
Yeah.
But I think it also depends on the client. Some clients are like, please tell me the truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So luckily
people
most of the time they're like that. People
want to know the truth. I think for the most part they don't want to know. They just want to. No, you're right. Yeah. I mean that's why they're hiring you.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. And if it's like a piece that's like that's passed down or something, well, I'll figure out a way to make it
hide it,
make it work. I don't know.
What are some of your tips for someone starting out? What's your like top 3 things that they should do if they're going to start right today? They watch this, they go, I'm going to be an interior designer. What would they?
I think one thing that like culturally I'm noticing right now, a lot of people are like, oh, work smarter, not harder. And I think hard work is like,
yeah,
it's very valuable and important, and just know that will get you pretty far. Yeah. I think
tip number 1 is
You got to work.
They got to work.
Yeah.
That whole idea that it's going to be easy
Yep.
and
It
work
doesn't
smarter.
exist.
Yeah, like the 4-hour work week. I don't know if
Nope,
you've ever
not
seen
happening.
That, but...
I mean, it's not happening. There's like some days that's a whole nother podcast. But
Yeah.
so hard work.
Okay.
Just be okay with failure. I'm sure these are cliche things that people hear all the time, but fail again, and be okay with failing and making mistakes.
Yep.
Because every time I failed and I felt flat on my face, eventually better came, you know? And I think, and that's, I'm kind of a perfectionist. I've kind of let go of that a little bit, but once I let go of the idea of like, it's not going to be perfect all the time, it really changed my life, you know, in so many aspects. That's 2. Number 3, I don't know.
Just keep
Work
going.
harder.
Just go back to number 1.
Yeah, go back to number 1.
That's great. No, that's great advice. Yeah, and you know, I think we were talking a little bit off camera that like, you know, I have a big belief that anything in business that it doesn't put you out of business will make you a better business person.
Yes.
In
And
the long
sometimes
run.
it's like a hard pill to swallow, but
Well, the best lessons
yeah.
are the hardest.
Yes.
You know,
I'm
and
tired of the hard lessons.
Yeah. But it's all part of it. But
Yeah.
you're still here.
I'm still here.
You're still going, and you push through, and you'll get another great project, and you'll push through, and I also think like, you know, short memory is good.
Yep.
You know, remembering like you don't want to make that same mistake again, but
Of
also
course.
realizing that mistake didn't like.
Yeah, and I
break
think
you.
having kids and having to be in the moment has really helped. I think if I started this business before becoming a mom, I don't know if I would have succeeded, honestly.
Really? Oh,
I
interesting.
think so. I think they like push me, and you know, you think before you act, whereas you know in your youth you kind of just act.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always work out well. So
You don't send that email that you want to
Yeah.
send, or well, and also I always feel like going home like at night. Not that it ever really turns off, but I also feel like when you get home, and your kids are there, and they just like they want to play or they want to. Then you're like, what am I? There's nothing I can do about the thing
and
that
it's
I
like
did.
the
earlier.
money and the business, like yes, they're great, but
Yeah.
like you have healthy kids in front of you.
Yeah.
They're happy.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be okay.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I you know, obviously we're talking about this too. Obviously, we've done a project together, so thank you.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. You're only seeing a little piece of this,
Yeah.
but if
Thank
you
you
watch
for
some
the
of the other,
opportunity.
if you watch some of the other content, you've seen.
Yes.
I was talking about the table that we shoot a lot of the content.
You know, that's actually a really good friend of mine. Her name is Lauren. She does these gorgeous stone tables.
Yeah,
And I always like refer her because she really comes through.
that table, everybody loves.
Yeah,
that
it's
table.
so stunning.
Yeah, and I think I remember I was like, I don't know if I want that table. I think
I know
was,
you tried to cancel it.
I think I tried to cancel that. Big mistake.
late.
Too late. Already paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. So
Of
you do everything. You'll do an office. You'll do
Yes.
a home, a
I
second
do.
home.
I can just do furniture or from like complete concept to completion.
Right.
And it took me a while to get to that point, but I'm so happy I'm here.
Yeah. And Tom Brady, when you
Yes,
see this,
please
obviously
call me.
Tanya's ready to do your house. She said we're gonna talk off camera. She's not doing it for free because I
Oh.
think Tom could afford it.
I think so too.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been really fun. And Tanya Stone, if the link will be in the bio if you want information and you're looking to get your house, you know, looking beautiful and spectacular, give her a call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.